Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to show you how I do my vintage curls. I've actually had quite a few people ask me for a tutorial on this, so here you go at last. Different vintage curl methods work better for different hair types. My hair is quite fine and also quite oily and not super long. If you do have super duper long hair, this probably isn't going to work. When my hair starts getting longer, the curls start getting weighed down a lot more, so it doesn't work very well. It is still very possible to get the curls on longer hair. You just need to use something more like a setting lotion when you're doing it, but I just like to keep my hair a little bit on the shorter side. This method should work for a lot of different hair textures though. My hair is pretty stick straight, but if you do have curly hair like ringlets, it probably will still work. If when your hair is damp you're able to pull a section straight, then you should be able to do this. Of course, it probably will be kind of tricky if you have like coily or more afro hair type. This particular hairstyle is very 1940s, so if you're going for something more like the 30s or the 50s, it'll only really look like those decades if your hair is quite a bit shorter than mine. If not, this particular style might not be for you if you're going for one of those other decades. For this, you're going to need a hairbrush, a spray bottle with just plain water in it, and some foam rollers. These are actually quite easy to find at the dollar store, which is where I got these. Then you're also going to need some sort of cap or hair scarf that you can tie around your head after all the curlers are in. This just helps them to sort of stay in place while you're sleeping. Otherwise, they can fall out and just get kind of messy. So without further ado, let's skip ahead to the evening when I'm doing my vintage curl set. Alrighty, time to set my hair. I have my 1890s inspired nightgown on, I got my hair down. So before you do anything, you're going to want to, of course, brush your hair out and make sure there's no knots in it, because if there are, you're basically going to be setting tangles into your hair. You're also going to want to decide on your part. Right now I have a center part. This is not quite my natural part, but for my vintage sets, I do really like a center part. Now there is a lot of different ways that you can set foam rollers. There are setting patterns that you can find on Pinterest and such that are actually from like the mid 20th century. I personally have never actually used one of those. I just kind of came up with my setting pattern. It is incredibly simple. I basically just start at the top and go around my part, doing little sections and rolling them downwards, like rolling them under. So I'm going to start with a front section right here. Now you do not want these sections to be super duper huge. If your section is too big, it's not going to dry properly or set properly, and it's just going to not be very curled. But if it's too thin, you might use too many rollers. So foam rollers are basically just these little foam tubes. Now to use this, you're going to want to make sure that your section is nice and smooth, and put your foam roller right under the tip of your hair section. Leave a little bit on the end and wrap that around a couple times. Then I don't know if you can really see here, but this little extra tip here, you're gonna want to sort of lay that along the length of your foam roller and then start rolling up the hair around the end so that it sort of gets stuck and doesn't fall out. Now you're probably also gonna have all these hairs kind of falling down. You're gonna just want to grab those to make sure that they get incorporated into the roll. Now once you get to the top, you don't want it to be way too tight to your scalp, because then it's going to be like pulling on your scalp all night, and that is not comfortable to sleep in. Now this is the second piece of your foam roller. It's basically just a little plastic rectangle. One short end of this will clip into one end of your foam roller, then fold it over the top and clip it to the other side. I'll just give you another look at that. Before moving on, just make sure that it has a little bit of slack and it can move around comfortably without pulling on your scalp. If it is a little bit tight, you can hold onto each end of the foam roller. Make sure that you're holding the clipped ends together so that they don't come undone, and pull on it a little bit. This will help tighten the roll and give you a little bit of extra slack right here. And there is our first roll. Now I like to do this going all the way around my part on the top, and then once I've done that, I do another layer right underneath. And I just keep going down until I run out of hair. So I'm just gonna put a show on Netflix and start rolling up all my hair. Setting your hair does also take a little practice. The longer you do it, the more consistency you get. Even now that I've been doing it for quite a long time, I still tend to get different results depending on how recently I've washed my hair or how long my hair is at the time, how big or small I make my sections. It just really can be kind of unpredictable. When you first start, it also can take a really long time, but the more that I've done it, the faster I've gotten at it. Now I can do it in like half an hour. So if I just put something on, it takes me no time. So if you are just starting to set your hair, don't feel discouraged if it's not working out. It really does take practice. I used to totally suck at it. So just keep on trying and you will get the vintage curls of your dreams eventually. Alrighty, I have finished setting my hair. Now the way that I get this to actually set and stay in my hair is just with some water. I spray my hair with quite a lot of water to make sure that every single piece of hair gets wet. I've had people ask me before if they can do this right after they have a shower while their hair is still a little damp, and I have tried that, but for whatever reason I found that that doesn't really work. When I've tried it after having a shower, I've just found that my hair is not dry by the morning for whatever reason, even though I do use quite a lot of water with the spray bottle, but I wouldn't recommend doing it with hair that's damp from the shower just because that hasn't worked for me and I know that the spray bottle works. Then I just put my little cap on and then I tie the rest up with my little scarf. So that would be it. It's not necessarily the most attractive look in the world. I just keep this in overnight and then I take it out in the morning when it's dry. So sleeping in this can be a little bit uncomfortable. The more you do it, the more you'll find out exactly how much slack you want to be at the base of your curls so that it is more comfortable for you to sleep in. It unfortunately is always going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but you get used to it and I haven't really had trouble falling asleep with these before. So I'll let these dry overnight and I'll see you in the morning. So for the bit in the morning when I was taking out all of the curlers, I actually lost the audio, so it'll just be a little voiceover here. Basically just take out all the foam rollers, and you may find that there's some hairs coming out on the rollers, but that's totally normal. They're probably just hairs that would have come out when you're brushing your hair anyways. Once you have all the rollers out, it's time to brush your curls. Starting with one half of your hair, brush it starting at the tips. As you can see, if I just let go of the hair, it's kind of puffy and frizzy. Most people say that you just need to keep on brushing for a really long time until it gets smooth, but I have discovered a trick for that. If after the brush has passed through your hair you hold it straight and then slowly let it go, the waves look so much smoother. Then just keep playing with your curls until they look the way you want. Then of course you can hairspray them to help them stay. I personally hate the feeling of hairspray, so I don't, but it definitely will help keep your curls in longer. So this is the finished look. Now I'll give you a quick look at the curls. There are a bunch of other things that you can do with this, but this is just sort of the base. You can then go and like clip pieces back or do victory rolls or something. Once again, I'd just like to clarify, this method is just what I do, but it might not work on your hair. Some hair is just very resistant to taking curls, in which case you might need some sort of setting lotion, which you can make at home or you can buy it. It is also possible on a lot of different hair textures, but it might be trickier on some than others. Real quick before I finish off this video, I'd like to mention that I have this email where you can send me strange vintage and antique fashion photos for me to react to in videos. I also have an Etsy shop called Gwen's Vintage Box where I'm selling vintage and antique curated boxes themed after different colors, so the link will be in the description if you want to check that out. That would be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment, rate, subscribe, and all that jazz, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! I don't know if you could hear that sound, but that was my dog's tail on the wall in the other room.